The tree line at the edge of your property is the one piece of the natural world you believe you understand. You walk the perimeter in the afternoon sunlight. You step over the dry leaves. You let the dog off the leash. And you do not think, not once, about what might be standing just out of sight. You assume the woods are empty. But occasionally, you want to be sure. So you take a plastic strap, you wrap it around the trunk of an oak tree, and you lock a little weatherproof trail camera into place. You expect to catch a stray deer, a raccoon, a neighborhood stray. It is the safest ground you know, and almost nothing living in it has ever agreed to that arrangement. When you pull the SD card days later and plug it into your screen, the illusion shatters. You see the timestamp glowing in the bottom corner, 2:14 in the morning, and you see something filling the frame that simply should not exist. Most lists of dangerous animals send you somewhere far away. They show you textbook examples, average sizes, and expected behaviors. This list does not move an inch, and it does not deal in averages. Today, we are counting down 12 specific, individual monsters caught on camera in the American wilderness. Ranked not by which species is deadliest on paper, but by how completely the footage destroys the picture you carry of these places. We're looking at the anomalies, the giants, the creatures that have grown to prehistoric proportions right on the edge of our subdivisions. And here is the shape of it. We start with the heavy shadows raiding the cornfields. We end with something you will swear is a ghost story. By the time we reach number 1, you are going to see a piece of footage so quiet and so unsettling, it will permanently change how you feel about walking on a familiar trail. Because the one at number 1 is not just impossible in size. It is a giant that was standing right behind someone who never even knew it was there. If you have a yard, a porch, or even a patio, and you like the kind of thing that makes you look twice at the dark, take a second to subscribe. It helps the channel, and it tells me you want to know the truth about what is out there. And tell me one thing. Where in the world are you watching from, and what is the strangest thing you have ever caught on a camera in the dark? Drop it in the comments. I read them. Now, let us get into the list. Number 12, the black bear. You know the black bear. You have been told it is the timid cousin of the grizzly, a giant raccoon that raids trash cans and runs away when you bang pots and pans together. That is the comforting average. But the footage captured on a hunter's trail camera in the dense agricultural edges of Pennsylvania shows something else entirely. The timestamp reads late November. The infrared flash illuminates a shape that blocks out the trees entirely. This is a black bear pushing 700 pounds. It looks less like an animal and more like a matte black Volkswagen Beetle moving silently over the frost. The camera captures it dragging the entire carcass of an adult white-tailed deer as if it weighs nothing at all. What most people do not know is that in the rich, crop-dense regions of the Northeast, black bears are experiencing an anomaly of gigantism. They do not have to burn calories foraging for berries. They eat our corn. They eat our waste. They grow to dimensions that rival coastal grizzlies, yet they retain the silence of a forest stalker. People assure themselves there are no real monsters in the eastern woods as they walk their dogs at dusk, but this footage proves the diet we brought to the edge of the forest has engineered a giant. It does not roar. It does not threaten. It just consumes. Number 12 is the reminder that feeding the wild does not tame it. It only makes it larger. Number 11, the feral hog. Everyone knows there are wild pigs in the American South. We think of them as pests, agricultural nuisances that root up the grass. What you do not expect is the night vision footage taken on a game camera deep in the Texas brush. The screen is bathed in a grainy green light. A sounder of normal-sized pigs scatters suddenly, and then the frame fills with a solitary boar. It weighs well over 400 pounds. Its back is heavily bristled, sloping upward into a massive hump of muscle and scar tissue. The lower tusks curl outward, catching the infrared glare. It does not look like a pig. It looks like a remnant of the Pleistocene epoch. What makes this animal terrifying is the sheer kinetic violence it is capable of. Feral hogs are highly invasive, carrying diseases like swine brucellosis and pseudorabies. But a boar of this size is a physical wrecking ball. It can sever an artery with a single upward thrust of its head. We laugh at internet memes about wild hogs, denying the reality of what it means to share the dark with an apex survivor that has no natural predators and no biological ceiling. It trusts its armor, and it fears nothing. Number 11 goes to the creature that proves our tamed landscapes are just breeding grounds for feral tanks. Number 10, the alligator. You would not think of the creature walking across a perfectly manicured Florida golf course as a hidden threat. It is broad daylight. The grass is bright green. And yet, the cell phone footage captured by a stunned bystander looks entirely like computer-generated imagery. A massive American alligator, estimated at over 15 feet long and weighing nearly 1,000 pounds, lifts its bulk entirely off the ground and walks across the fairway. It does not drag its belly, it high-walks, moving with a terrifying mechanical grace. People watching the video online instantly claimed it was forced perspective or a hoax. Here is the denial. We think that by pouring concrete and planting Bermuda grass, we have deleted the swamp. We think the prehistoric world respects the boundary of the golf cart path. But this giant alligator is not lost. It is walking exactly where it has always walked. It is simply tolerating the grass we laid over its ancestral home. A reptile of this size has survived decades of human expansion by being patient. It can pull a full-grown deer into a retention pond without making a splash. Number 10 is the slow-moving dinosaur that reminds us we have built our leisure on top of a food chain that is still fully intact. Number 9, the bull elk. If you travel to the mountain towns of Colorado, you expect to see wildlife. We group elk in our minds with deer, viewing them as peaceful, grazing herbivores. But the shaky phone footage shot through the windshield of a car stuck in autumn traffic shatters that gentle image. The fog is thick. The cars are idling. And then, a bull elk steps out of the mist and stands next to a crossover SUV. The animal's shoulder is higher than the roof of the car. Its antlers span over 4 feet across. It is 1,000 pounds of pure, hormonally charged muscle in the middle of the rut. What most people do not understand is the lethal volatility of a giant herbivore. We fear the wolves and the bears, but this bull elk will crush a human chest cavity in a fraction of a second if it feels crowded. It does not want to eat you, which somehow makes it worse. It simply wants to eradicate you from its space. The people in the cars are filming it, rolling their windows down, completely blind to the fact that they are inches away from fatal blunt force trauma. Number 9 is the giant that hides behind a beautiful postcard reputation. Number 8, the white sturgeon. Now we move from the things that block our roads to the things that move silently beneath our boats. You look out over a wide, murky river in the Pacific Northwest, and you think of trout. You think of salmon. But the drone footage hovering over the Snake River captures a shadow moving just below the surface. At first, your brain registers it as a sunken log. Then, the log undulates. It is a white sturgeon, 11 feet long, weighing hundreds of pounds. Its skin is armor-plated with bony scutes. It looks exactly like a shark engineered for fresh water. Here is the catch. We have a deep cultural fear of the ocean. We respect the saltwater predators, but we let our guard down completely on inland rivers. We swim, we wade, we float on thin inflatable tubes. We deny the scale of what fresh water can hide. A sturgeon of this size is a bottom-feeding relic that can live for over 100 years. It was swimming in this exact channel before the first highway was ever paved. It does not hunt humans, but the sheer scale of the shadow passing beneath the muddy water is enough to trigger a primal, suffocating dread. Number 8 is the monster hiding at the bottom of the swimming hole. Number 7, the Burmese python. The dashcam of a police cruiser is rolling on a lonely stretch of blacktop in the Florida Everglades at midnight. The headlights cut through the heavy humidity. Up ahead, a thick, dark line seems to be painted across the dividing lines of the road. The cruiser slows down. The line begins to move. It is a Burmese python, measuring over 18 feet in length, and it stretches across both lanes of traffic. Its girth is thicker than a human thigh. The denial here is rooted in geography. We know the native venomous snakes of the South, the rattlers and the cottonmouths, and we know how to watch our step. But this is an apex constrictor from another continent, released into a perfect, endless swamp. It has no natural predators here. It has eaten the raccoons, the foxes, the bobcats, and now it is large enough to consume adult alligators. It hides by simply blending into the vast, wet darkness of the sawgrass. You could pull a flatboat right over the top of a 20-foot python and never see it in the muck. It is a slow, silent wave of muscle that is actively swallowing an ecosystem whole. Number 7 goes to the giant we invited into our own home. We are at the halfway point, and if you are still with me, you are clearly someone who actually wants to know what the dark holds. You do not just want the comfortable, sanitized version of the outdoors. So this is the moment to hit subscribe. Because the animals from here up stop being anomalies of nature and start being things that people flat out refuse to believe are real. Number 6, the alligator snapping turtle. We move from the giant constrictor to something far older and far angrier. The vertical cell phone video is shaky, recorded by someone standing on the edge of a muddy gravel road in rural Louisiana. In the deep rut of the ditch, covered in algae and mud, is a boulder. But the boulder has a spiked shell, a massive, muscular tail, and a head the size of a cinder block. It is an alligator snapping turtle weighing over 150 pounds. When the person filming points a stick at it, the jaws snap shut with a sound like a gunshot. The bite force is enough to cleanly amputate a human hand. The psychology of our denial here is entirely visual. We expect dangerous things to look dangerous, to pace, to growl, to show teeth. This creature weaponizes stillness. It sits at the muddy bottom of rivers and bayous, opening its mouth to display a tiny pink lure that looks like a worm, and it waits. It can hold its breath for nearly an hour. You could step on it in murky water and assume it is a sunken tire, right until the moment the mud explodes. Number 6 is the ancient armor that reminds us the mud is never truly empty. Number 5, the timber wolf. A trail camera is mounted low on a pine tree along a snowy logging road in the upper Midwest. The forest is dead quiet. In the black and white night vision, a wolf steps into the frame. We all know wolves exist, but we picture them as large, sleek dogs, huskies with a wild streak. The footage shatters this instantly. The wolf stops next to the fresh tire track of a heavy-duty pickup truck. The top of the animal's head is nearly level with where a human chest would be. It weighs close to 150 pounds. Its paws are the size of dinner plates. The scale breaks your brain. What makes this footage terrifying is the realization of the predator's sheer capacity. A giant timber wolf does not hunt by ambush. It runs its prey into total exhaustion. It is a machine built for cardiovascular endurance and bone-crushing jaw strength. People hike these logging roads in the daytime, completely confident in the safety of the snowpack. They do not realize the tracks they are stepping in belong to a pack of giants that move like ghosts the second the sun goes down. Number 5 is the winter shadow that proves the wild has not shrunk at all. Number 4, the great white shark. You take a drone and fly it out over a popular, sun-drenched beach in California. The water is a beautiful, clear turquoise. There are dozens of surfers sitting on their boards waiting for a set. The drone camera tilts straight down, and there, moving elegantly through water less than 6 feet deep, is a dark, torpedo-shaped shadow. It is a 15-foot great white shark. It is swimming no more than 20 yards from the surfers, navigating the shallow sandbar with absolute precision. The denial here is the most powerful one on the list. We have convinced ourselves that the monsters of the ocean live out in the deep, dark blue. We treat the shallows, the surf line, as our personal swimming pool. But the great white hunts exactly where the water breaks. It is looking for seals, following the gradient of the shoreline. The people on the surfboards have their feet dangling in the water, completely blind to the 2-ton apex predator gliding just behind them. It does not attack. It simply observes, assesses, and moves on. The horror is not in a strike. The horror is in the proximity. Number 4 is the giant that was swimming with you the whole time while you thought you were alone. Number 3, the mountain lion. Now the footage leaves the wild and comes directly to the architecture of your house. A suburban security camera mounted on a back patio overlooking a small, fenced yard in California. It is 3 in the morning. The patio furniture sits empty. The motion light flicks on. Walking onto the concrete, silent as smoke, is a mountain lion. But this is not a starving, desperate cat. This is an anomalously massive male, pushing 180 pounds. Its chest is remarkably broad, its long, heavy tail twitching as it looks directly through the sliding glass door into the living room. We draw a hard mental line between the city and the mountains. We tell ourselves that big cats stay up in the canyons, far away from the streetlights and the sprinklers. The footage proves the line does not exist. The cat uses the dry riverbeds and the green belts to navigate the suburbs while we sleep. It is hunting pets, deer, and anything else that lives inside the fence. It moves with a terrifying fluidity, its paws making absolutely no sound on the concrete. The wild does not stay where we put it. It walks right up to the glass and looks in. Number 3 is the predator you locked your front door against, without realizing it was already in the backyard. And that leaves just 2. Number 2 is a creature of such sheer, undeniable physical power that it alters the landscape just by existing. And number 1. Number 1 is the thing I warned you about at the very start. The footage that closes the loop, showing you the shadow you might have already carried home on your own timeline. Number 2. The grizzly bear. A trail camera is bolted to a thick pine tree deep in the backcountry of Montana. The footage is daytime, in color. A grizzly bear steps into the clearing. This is not a standard bear. It is an old, dominant male, easily weighing 1,000 pounds, with a massive hump of muscle between its shoulders and silver-tipped fur. It approaches a 6-inch thick dead tree standing in the dirt. The bear turns around, leans its immense weight against the trunk, and begins to rub its back to scratch an itch. With nothing but the casual, rhythmic sway of its hips, the bear snaps the tree entirely in half. It falls to the ground. The bear does not even flinch. It continues walking. The psychological wall we build against the grizzly is the belief that we have protocols. We carry bear spray, we know to play dead, we memorize the survival guide. But watching footage of a giant grizzly casually destroying timber without effort makes you realize that all protocols rely on the bear's permission. If a creature of this scale decides it wants you, there is no defense. There is no running. There is only the absolute, chilling reality that you are made of meat, standing in a kingdom ruled by a giant. Number 2 did not just survive the mountains, it is the architect of them. And so we arrive at number 1. We move from the giant that breaks trees to the giant that leaves no trace at all. Number 1. The Eastern Mountain Lion. The footage comes from a simple, cheap trail camera mounted on a popular hiking trail in the dense, green woods of the Appalachian Mountains. The time is 6:14 in the evening. The sun is getting low. A jogger wearing a gray hoodie and headphones runs past the camera, breathing hard, looking straight ahead. The frame sits empty for exactly 4 seconds. And then, stepping out of the thick mountain laurel, directly onto the path the jogger just took, is a massive, tawny cat. It is a mountain lion, an absolute ghost, easily weighing 150 pounds. Its nose is to the dirt. It turns its head, looks down the trail in the direction of the runner, and follows. Here is the ultimate denial. According to every official map, every government agency, and every wildlife textbook, the eastern cougar is extinct. They do not exist here. They were wiped out over a century ago. If you tell a ranger you saw one, they will tell you it was a bobcat, a coyote, or a trick of the light. But the camera does not lie. The camera shows an apex predator, thriving, massive, and entirely invisible. What makes this footage the most terrifying thing on this list is not just the size of the animal or the fact that it is living in a place it has been mathematically erased from. It is the proximity. The runner in the hoodie went home that night, took a shower, and went to sleep, completely unaware that a giant, lethal cat was standing 10 feet behind them, deciding whether or not to strike. It was there before you noticed. It was there when you turned your back. Number 1 goes to the monster that proves the government maps are wrong and that you have never truly walked in the woods alone. So here's what this list is really about. It is not about internet hoaxes or cheap jump scares. It is about the soft, familiar illusion of the landscape we live in. There is a softness to the American wilderness, a quiet beauty that makes you let your guard down. You look at the paved roads, the fences, the trimmed grass, and you think the earth has been tamed. You think the monsters were all hunted down 100 years ago. But the giant bear is still raiding the corn. The prehistoric turtle is still wading in the mud. The great white is still patrolling the surf line. The ghost cat is still stepping onto the trail right after you leave it. These places were never really tame. They just let you believe they were. The animals did not disappear. They simply learned how to use our blind spots. They learned how to grow massive in the spaces we refuse to look at. The Earth has not changed. The only thing that changes is whether or not we leave the cameras rolling in the dark to catch them. If this changed the way you will walk into those woods, subscribe and stay for the next one. And the next time it feels a little too quiet out there, the next time you feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand up for no reason at all, remember why. You were never alone out here. You just thought you were.